Being proficient in the Quran can be the difference between whether you finish your Hifz or not. Proficiency is the ability to recite the Quran fluently such that memorization and revision becomes efficient. So in this video, I want to share with you 4 steps to become proficient in the Quran such that memorization and revision becomes easier. Let's first establish how a lack of proficiency negatively affects your Hifz. If you look at young kids who are starting off to learn how to recite the Quran, notice how they never start off by memorizing anything. Rather, they start off by learning how to read the Arabic alphabets. If you're to tell them to try memorizing Surah Al-Ikhlas, for example, they wouldn't be able to do it because they don't have proficiency in recitation. The same concept applies to you. If you are not fluent in recitation, memorization will be even more difficult because now you have 2 things to focus on: reciting correctly and memorizing. And memorization is already a heavy task, so you don't need to burden yourself with another task on top of that. So the level of proficiency I want you to reach is that you can open any page of the Quran and recite it without making major mistakes. Without this level, whenever you try to memorize, you're going to find yourself second guessing yourself on how to recite the words correctly. So if you implement the following 4 steps, you can reach this level of proficiency. So the first step to becoming proficient is to listen to the Quran a lot. When I started off my Hifz journey, I listened to Husari for 2 years straight. And my tajweed drastically improved to the point where I knew tajweed without learning any of the rules. So the more you listen to the Quran, the more your fluency will improve. Try to listen to the Quran whenever you find small pockets of time in your day, whether it be in your car, when you're outside, when you're going to school, when you're at your job, etc. Always remember that small efforts compound into big results. And when you're listening, try to listen to all the surahs of the Quran and not just a select few. If you neglect listening to some surahs like Surah Al-Baqarah and An-Nisa, then when you start to memorize it, it'll become very hard. But if you listen to the entire Quran, then all of it will be easy to memorize. Before we get further into the video, if you find yourself struggling to memorize the Quran and you find yourself frustrated on how difficult it can be, this might help. I'm offering one-on-one coaching sessions where I design a memorization and revision plan that suits you so you can memorize the Quran with consistency and confidence. I've coached multiple students and they see immediate progress in their Hifz. I will teach you various Hifz methods, revision techniques, memory science, tajweed lessons, and I will keep you fully accountable throughout your Hifz journey until you finish. If that sounds like something that would benefit you, sign up to the link below and I'll see you there. Moving on to the second tip on how to become proficient in the Quran, which is to learn the Arabic words from the Quran itself. As you are memorizing the Quran, it is really important to learn Arabic vocab. If you start to understand the Quran, it makes memorization so much more easier because it goes from just becoming words to becoming words with meaning. Memorizing words that you don't understand at all is much more difficult than memorizing words that you understand. Before I started memorizing the Quran, I had already learned a lot of Arabic vocab, and this sped up my Hifz progress by a lot, since I had a lot of context as to what the Quran meant, and if I didn't have that, my Hifz would have been much slower. And doing this is very easy. Simply download a Quran app that shows you the translation of each word when you click on it, and I recommend Green Tech Quran app. And every time you come across words that you commonly see, such as qul, amanu, lam, etc., click on the word and see what it means. And yes, it's that simple. If you maintain this habit, you will learn 70% of the Quran's vocab within the span of 6 to 8 months. And looking at the Arabic language, if you learn one word, then you can identify other words that are similar to it because Arabic is a root word language. If you see the word amanu, for example, if you further examine it, the root letters go back to Hamza, Mim, and Nun. Once you know this, you can identify other words that have the same root letters, such as yu'minu, amin, mu'min, etc. And it's totally okay if this doesn't make sense to you right away, but just keep in mind that Arabic words go back to root letters, and you can use those letters to infer the meaning of other words that have those same root letters. Moving on to the third step, which is to increase in your recitation of the Quran. It is no secret that practice makes perfect. The more you practice reciting, the more proficient you will be in the Quran. If you want to become fluent, don't just read the Quran at random. Make it a daily habit where you memorize and revise every single day. And when you're memorizing and revising, try to increase the amount of repetitions. So when you're memorizing, try to read each ayah 20 times, and when you're revising, try to read 10 to 20 pages daily. And if you're fluent in the Quran, you'll find it very easy to do many repetitions in your memorization and revision. The fourth and final step is to find a teacher. Without a teacher, you can make many mistakes in your recitation without realizing it, especially in tajweed, because learning how to recite is based on a chain that goes back to the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. Despite learning tajweed myself by listening to Hifdh for 2 years straight, I still needed a teacher to correct me. Because when you self-learn, sometimes you emphasize rules that are not meant to be emphasized. So even if you learn tajweed rules, you might not implement them correctly. Thus, you need a teacher to approve and correct you. A teacher is like a mentor. They can help shorten for you the path to memorization by telling you the mistakes they themselves made before. I remember I used to be confused on how to review the Quran I memorized. I would take a surah, read it 2 times by looking and 1 time without looking, and this took me a very long time and hurt my revision. But then one of my teachers told me to simply revise without looking for all of your revision. And that advice benefited me in the long run, and I implement it to this day. If I didn't have a teacher to give me that advice, I would have probably wasted a few years in revising the Quran wrong. So don't look down on the idea of getting a teacher, because they will help you to memorize the Quran as fast as possible. So the takeaway of today's video is: number 1, listen to the Quran. Number 2, learn Arabic vocab. Number 3, recite the Quran a lot. And number 4, find a teacher to teach you. If you implement these 4 steps, you will easily become proficient in the Quran, which will help you to memorize the Quran much faster. Hope you benefited from this video. Wassalamu alaikum.